This is only the third time I've ever told this story. Even my parents don't know it. And sometimes I think that's for the best. Ignorance really can be kinder than the truth. I'm using a throwaway account for a reason. My real name, my real life, finally feels stable enough that I don't want this story attached to them. Not because I'm ashamed of surviving, but because I know how people hear stories like this. They don't listen. They judge. What happened to me didn't start in jail. It started years before, in a bar, on a night that felt completely ordinary. In 2002, I got into a fight. I was a white, straight guy in my early 20s. I worked, I paid my bills, I wasn't looking for trouble. Someone else started it, and yes, I defended myself. But I'll be honest about my part too. I was full of adrenaline. I was stressed. I was angry. And I used more force than I probably should have. I accept that. What I will never accept is what came after. The other guy ended up in a coma, and suddenly, everything changed. I was arrested and charged with aggravated assault, a felony in my state. Meanwhile, the man who started the fight, once he woke up, he took a plea deal and walked away with a misdemeanor and probation. That contrast ate at me. It still does. I was facing up to 10 years on paper. My lawyer told me realistically it would probably be 2 to 3 if I fought it, maybe 5 at worst. I didn't want to gamble with my life. I accepted a plea deal. 180 days, county jail, 6 months. At the time, it sounded manageable, almost small. I told myself it would fly by. I'd be out by Christmas. I'd read books. I'd train. I'd come out tougher, respected, with a reputation. I actually believed jail would make me stronger. That belief didn't survive the first few weeks. When my sentence began, things went fine, almost too fine. People sized me up, sure, but I wasn't immediately targeted. A couple of guys tested me. One situation I talked down, another I fought and won. That only made things worse, because winning doesn't make you safe. It makes you visible. Not long after, a prison gang started paying attention to me. At first, it was small things you're supposed to ignore. A basketball thrown at the back of my head, food disappearing, being shoved in line, names whispered just loud enough for you to hear. I didn't realize it then, but every time I let it slide, they learned something about me. They learned I wouldn't fight back unless cornered. Someone I loosely trusted pulled me aside one day and gave me advice that still makes my stomach turn when I think about it. He told me I should find a protector, someone bigger, someone dangerous. And if I had to give him sex a couple times a month, that was the price of safety. That was the moment fear really set in. Not panic, not shock. Fear. The kind that settles into your bones and stays there. The first real attack happened in the TV room. It sounds stupid when I say it out loud. A television channel. A disagreement over what to watch. A huge guy decided he wanted something else on. I let him have it. I didn't argue. I didn't challenge him. That wasn't enough. He kept pushing, kept escalating. And when he realized I wouldn't fight back the way he wanted, he called others over. His people. I remember standing there, realizing I was outnumbered, knowing exactly what was about to happen, and also knowing there was nothing I could do to stop it. Hopelessness is a strange thing. It's quiet. It's heavy. And once you feel it, it never fully leaves you. After that, my life in jail changed completely. It didn't happen once. It didn't happen twice. It happened again and again and again. Different places, same outcome. Eventually, I could look at another inmate and tell. I could see it in their eyes, in how they moved, in how they avoided space. You don't learn that skill on the outside. I became deeply depressed. My mind turned against me. I talked to myself in ways I would never speak to another human being. I believed the names they called me. I believed the humiliation. I believed I deserved it. I thought about telling someone every single day, and every single day I didn't. Because I knew what reporting meant inside those walls. More violence, more isolation, or worse. I did tell my public defender. He filed paperwork. He warned me it could take months, maybe longer than my sentence. I asked for psychiatric help, not because I wanted sympathy, but because I knew I wouldn't survive otherwise. That decision saved my life. At first, they put me in solitary. And as horrifying as that sounds to people on the outside, it felt safer than anywhere else. Silence was better than fear. Eventually, I was transferred again to a psychiatric hospital. And for the first time in months, things stopped getting worse. The psychiatric hospital felt like another world, even though it was still locked, still controlled, still surrounded by guards and rules. But something was different. For the first time since I had been arrested, I wasn't constantly scanning every room for danger. I wasn't calculating where to stand, who to avoid, how close someone was getting to me. That alone felt unreal. My body didn't know how to react to the absence of immediate threat. I slept. Not well, not deeply, but I slept without jolting awake every hour. I ate without rushing. I spoke without lowering my voice. Every day, I met with a psychiatrist. At first, I barely talked. I answered questions with short sentences. I stayed vague. Years later, I understand why. Saying things out loud makes them real. As long as they stay inside your head, you can pretend they're manageable. But eventually, the words came out. I remember one session in particular. I started talking, and I couldn't stop. I cried in a way I didn't know I still could. Not loud, dramatic crying, the quiet kind that feels like your chest is collapsing inward. I told him everything. The fear, the humiliation, the way I had stopped feeling human. He didn't interrupt me. He didn't look uncomfortable. He didn't question my story. That mattered more than I can explain. He told me something that felt impossible at the time, that what happened to me was not my fault, and that it was not rare. That sentence broke something open in me, because until then, I believed my experience was some kind of personal failure, that I had been weak, that I had missed a rule everyone else understood. That psychiatrist changed the direction of my life. A few days later, he told me he had a friend, an attorney, who might be willing to listen. Not a public defender, not someone drowning in cases, someone who specialized in situations like mine. I didn't understand why an attorney would care. I didn't understand what could possibly come from it. At that point, all I wanted was to survive until my release date. Still, I agreed to talk. The attorney came in with a notebook and no assumptions. He asked me for names, dates, locations. He asked me to describe patterns, not moments. He explained that individual incidents are easy to deny. Systems are harder. He told me up front how it would work. If there was a settlement, he would take a percentage. At first, I didn't even hear the number. My mind got stuck on one phrase he used. A case. I didn't think of my life as a case. I thought of it as something that had already been ruined. The lawsuit didn't feel real while I was still inside. It felt distant, abstract, like something happening to someone else. Meanwhile, I focused on getting through each day in the hospital. I took the medication they gave me. I followed instructions. I didn't fight anyone. I didn't resist anything. I learned later that this made the staff like me. That realization bothered me more than it comforted me. It made me wonder how many people were treated worse simply because they were broken in louder ways. Eventually, my sentence officially ended. I had served a little more than 180 days by then because of evaluations and transfers. When I left, it wasn't dramatic. No one congratulated me. No one apologized. I walked out with a felony record, a probation officer, and a mind that didn't feel like my own. The world outside felt overwhelming. Too loud, too fast, too careless. People complained about traffic, about work, about small inconveniences, and I wanted to scream at them. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror without feeling sick. I drank. I used drugs more than I ever had before. I didn't want to die exactly. I just didn't want to be awake. Depression followed me everywhere. The lawsuit moved slowly. At first, it seemed like it would go nowhere. The jail's defense argued that what happened was consensual. Hearing that felt like being violated all over again. But I had medical records, psychiatric evaluations, documentation that told a very different story.
Then they started making mistakes, contradictions, careless statements, and finally, the one that changed everything, an admission, in writing, that they simply didn't have enough guards to protect everyone. That sentence was never meant for me, but it became the core of the case. They settled before it went further, just under $1 million. After legal fees, I received half. Money didn't fix me, but it gave me space. I found an apartment. I worked minimum wage jobs at first, just to feel normal again. I invested the settlement conservatively. For the first time since my arrest, I wasn't constantly afraid of the future. I painted. I traveled a little. I learned how to sit still without panicking. Slowly, life began to resemble something worth living. Even now, I hate jails. I hate what happened to me. I still get angry thinking about it. But I also know how close I came to becoming another silent statistic, another story never told. Luck saved me, and one person who chose to listen. Getting out didn't feel like freedom. People imagine release as a clean break. A door opens, you step outside, breathe fresh air, and life resumes. For me, it was nothing like that. I walked out carrying everything with me: fear, anger, shame, and a body that reacted to the world as if it were still locked inside. The first nights were the worst. Silence felt wrong. My apartment felt too open, too exposed. I slept on the floor at first, away from windows, waking up at every sound. My mind kept waiting for something to happen. I tried to act normal. I told people I was fine. I avoided questions. When someone asked how jail was, I laughed it off. Humor became armor. But when I was alone, everything came back. I couldn't hold eye contact for long. Crowded places made my chest tighten. Any unexpected touch sent a jolt through me. I hated my reflection. I hated my body for remembering things. My mind wanted to forget. The depression didn't lift when I got out. If anything, it deepened. Inside, survival gave me purpose. Outside, there was nothing to distract me from myself. I drank more. I used drugs harder. I wasn't trying to destroy my life. I was trying to numb it. The lawsuit continued quietly in the background. Emails, phone calls, depositions. Every time I had to revisit details, it felt like reopening a wound that never healed properly. But there was something grounding about it too. Someone was acknowledging that what happened mattered. When the settlement finally came through, I didn't feel relief the way I expected. I felt empty. No amount of money could give me back the person I had been before jail, but it did give me choices. Something jail takes away completely. I invested it safely, lived modestly. I didn't want luxury. I wanted stability. I wanted to wake up without fear. I wanted my mind to stop racing. For a while, I didn't work at all. I told myself I was healing, but really I was hiding. Slowly, I forced myself back into the world. Minimum wage jobs, small responsibilities, simple routines. That structure saved me more than therapy alone ever could. I started painting again. At first, my work was dark, abstract, chaotic. Then gradually, colors returned, shapes softened. I didn't notice the change until someone else pointed it out. Healing isn't a moment. It's a series of quiet decisions. Years passed. I aged. The anger dulled, not disappeared, just softened around the edges. I still hated the system. I still believed society failed me. But I stopped fantasizing about revenge. I stopped wanting to burn everything down just to be heard. One day, I met someone. I didn't tell her my story right away. I didn't know how. I was afraid of how she'd look at me afterward. But when I finally did, she listened. She didn't flinch. She didn't try to fix me. That was when I realized how far I'd come. I'm not cured. I don't believe in that word anymore. Some things stay with you. Certain sounds, certain memories, certain fears that resurface when you least expect them. But I'm alive. I'm functional. I'm building something. And that's more than I ever thought I'd have.
I don't tell this story because I want sympathy. For a long time, I didn't tell it at all because I didn't want to remember. I convinced myself that staying silent meant moving on, that if I just kept building a life around the damage, eventually it would disappear. It doesn't. Some experiences don't fade, they settle. They become part of how you see the world, how you measure safety, how you understand power. Jail taught me things I never wanted to learn, about people, about institutions, about how thin the line is between being protected and being forgotten. I still hate jails. I hate what they did to me, and I hate how easily it happens to others. Most of the men I met inside didn't have lawyers who cared. They didn't have psychiatrists who listened. They didn't have documentation, witnesses, or luck. They had silence. That's what stays with me the most. Not just what happened to me, but how many times I saw it happening to others, knowing nothing would come of it, knowing their stories would never leave those walls. The money helped. I won't pretend it didn't. It gave me stability, space to heal, and a way to rebuild without constant fear. But it didn't erase the years I lost. It didn't give me back my youth. It didn't undo the damage done to my mind. What it did give me was the ability to choose a future. I live quietly now. I work. I create. I love someone who knows my past and doesn't define me by it. I'm thinking about starting a family, something I never imagined during those nights when survival felt like the only goal. Sometimes I still wake up angry. Sometimes I still replay moments in my head, wondering how everything could have gone so wrong, so fast. But those moments don't control me anymore. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Survival isn't dramatic. It doesn't look like victory. It looks like showing up every day, carrying what happened, and refusing to let it be the only thing you are. I'm not proud of going to jail. I'm not proud of what happened there, but I am proud that I didn't disappear. And if telling this story means even one person understands that they're not alone, then maybe something good can exist alongside everything that went wrong.